James, France and Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba says he's going to try and clear his name after he was handed a 4-year doping ban. He was suspended provisionally by a tribunal of Italy's national anti-doping organisation, NADO Italia, in September after testing positive for DHEA, a banned substance which naturally raises levels of testosterone. That would put Paul Pogba returning to football at, to a certain extent, the ripe old age of 34. And we can take this conversation wherever you want to take it. If you want to say, what the hell about this doping ban? Is it that serious? It's not like he's on HGH or steroids or whatever, like it's harsh. Or whether we want to actually potentially break down to a guy who's had a little bit of an unfulfilled career. And I think what I mean by that is expectation and potential compared to reality, because that's where I want to go to begin with. This is the closest we've had to Zinedine Zidane, arguably more athletic, a bit more skill, a bit more swagger, and a bit more self-confidence as well, which the very, very best have. That's been kind of robbed from us here a little bit. The Juventus spell prior to the return to Manchester United was magical. There was the odd bright spark at the Manchester United one, but it was mainly capped by winning Carabao Cups, FA Cups, Europa Leagues, not the big ones. International career has been great, but I don't know if he's ever dominated like that. And his return to Juventus subsequently has been a bit disappointing. Where do you stand on this doping issue, Pogba's career in general? Because I think it's something we need to talk about. It's disappointing, isn't it?
It's very disappointing because at the end of the day, Jack, I was football. I love football, and I also, one thing about football that gets me is the players. I fall in love with certain players. I fell in love with Eden Hazard at Chelsea. What a football player! I fell in love with Neymar, and he's my guy, and I'm hoping that he can come back and do something, And I fell in love with Paul Pogba, Jack. As much as I'm against Manchester United, when he was there, I was hoping that he done well, and it killed me when I seen people criticize him. Granted, the criticism was right, at times it was unwarranted, and at times it was right. A couple of times from Graham Souness and them guys, I seen some of the videos. It sounded a lot like some racist hate, man. Some of the video I used to watch on it, it was bad, Jack. It was bad. Yeah. But me looking at Paul Pogba's career, if Paul Pogba would have ended right then after the Euros, when France got knocked out, I think no matter what, Jack, he still had a great career.
Oh,
you don't win 4 Serie A titles.
People would bend over backwards for his career. He's achieved more than 99.9% of people to ever play the game. Definitely.
When you look at what a lot of these players have won, it's like they haven't. Especially like our greats, Zidane. I think he had 1 or 2 La Liga titles. He won a couple Serie A titles there. He lost a load of Champions League finals, 1 Champions League, 1 World Cup, 1 Euro. Still a lot. But Paul Pogba, in his time period, has played in a Euros final, played in Champions League final. Granted, he's lost both of them, won a Europa League, won a World Cup, won 4 Serie A titles, and I think came second with Manchester United. It hasn't been a bad career, but again, the expectations from these guys have been ruined from Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. We're expecting these guys to win Ballon d'Ors, to do this, to do that. And I'm like, listen, Paul Pogba's career, no matter what, it's still been an unbelievable career. But Jack, as you mentioned, we want more. And I hate to say it, Jack, in the last 4 to 5 years, it's been so underwhelming from Paul Pogba. The final part of his Manchester, it's not just, Jack, that the performance. It's the fact that, Jack, he barely played for Manchester United coming to the end. He then joins Juventus, Jack, and I think he plays like 2 games, but he misses the whole of the first season. Second season, misses the majority of that, plays 1 or 2 games, comes off injuries, and now it's the point where we want to see him play. I was looking at that World Cup after seeing how great he was with France, and him not being there due to all this stuff. It's like, it has been underwhelming the last 5 years. I don't want to take his whole career and think that no, you wouldn't achieve, because if you told Paul Pogba that he would have done what he doing at the start of his career, at the start when he first put on football boots, he would have said, unbelievable. But as I said, we always want more. I'm only disappointed with the lack of football we've seen from Paul Pogba,
Right.
because ultimately, Jack, when he's on the football field, I don't doubt him. I listen. He has
No, of
lots
course.
of defensive. He has the lots of like defensive like issues, but when he's on the ball, Jack,
Has he
special.
surrounded himself with the right people? That's a question I often have. And this is based on nothing. Right, I have no information. I don't know him. I don't know his family, agents, friends, you name it. I don't know any of that. But you hear stuff through the rumor
Um,
mill about the some wasn't there some like witchcraft thing which was a bit
but
weird, and then
listen,
there was
listen,
some.
listen. Yeah, yeah. Listen. We can get into what goes on in his household, which I really don't want to talk about because that's down to them. Me being
Of
a
course.
black man, a Nigerian man, all that stuff there is crazy to you guys, but it's kind of normal for.
Right.
If you ask what Jack, listen, it's a normal thing. It's mad. Listen, the hyena stuff, it's mad. But my thing is, you mentioned the surrounded by people. If you watch a Paul Pogba documentary, like he had this female publisher or something like that. There was somebody who was going to represent Milano where when like he wasn't when like he passed away. And watching it, at times it just feels like everything feels too manufactured. Anything feels like it has to be an image thing. When it's like, I get it. People come for his image a lot, but at the same time, I don't think that he needed certain people around him. You know, I don't think that he needed. I listen. If I can't say what's on my mind because I don't want to. I don't want to get in trouble. I refuse to say what's on my mind
And
because I
also,
don't want to get in trouble
but
with
also
anybody. But
let's give ourselves a little bit of a, not a cop out, but a little bit of an excuse here by and a disclaimer. We we don't know him. We don't know his family, his friends. All of this is total conjecture. We're just kind of making this up on the fly, and it's rumors and blah blah blah. But to me, the smoke without fire thing comes into it a bit, and I do look at any time a rumor has come up, or any time any social media stuff that pundits don't like, or managers don't like, or whatever. I do often think, man, are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Because James, again, I don't think Paul Pogba was the one who started taking this drug with the testosterone off his own back. I think somebody in his team or one of his friends or a fellow professional has gone, hey, Paul, you should start taking this because it helps your recovery or blah, all this kind of stuff. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe he's had his not head turned, but maybe he's had the wrong advice from the wrong person who's gotten him in trouble now.
the one thing I'm gonna say, and as I said, I don't want like getting into the personal stuff because ultimately that's nothing to do with me. That's nothing to do with Jack. But I want to stick on to me what goes on the football field. And my
Right.
question to Paul Pogba Thoms is that does he love the game the way he used to when he was younger? That is the biggest thing for me because ultimately, Jack, Paul Pogba's a brand. You should go back and watch it. Paul Pogba is a massive, massive
Huge.
brand, and all the
Yeah.
stuff with Adidas and all that. There, Jack. At the end of the day, it gets to people's head, and the question is that for me, if I want to speak to him, that was there a time when you said, "Man, this ain't really for me." With all this criticism there, with all this stuff there. Listen, I'm just happy doing what I do, doing all the flashy stuff, and yeah, I'm happy with that because me watching what's gone on in the past few years with Paul Pogba, I just question his drive to get back to where he wanted to. And Jack, I think that one of the reasons why this whole PD stuff came up is that maybe he was a bit lazy to work hard again.
Maybe.
And I'm not saying it like he's taking it to enhance himself. He's probably thinking, you know what? Instead of me doing all this rehab here, if this is going to help me get back to where I need to get back to, I'll just take that
Yeah,
instead of saying, no,
shortcut.
let me show the passion for the game. Let me start doing the old stuff that I used to do. And it's very, very hard. Yeah. Jack, what's that thing? What's that saying with a fighter? It's hard to get out of bed and like do jogging once you lay down in like silk sheets. And
Right.
it's probably that's the same thing for Paul Pogba right now. It was probably hard to put his head down and get back to where he is with all the level of money, fame, and all that like he's like in like he's created, you know. And I just hope that he gets cleared up at some point, Jack. and he
Also,
just gets 1 to 2 to 3 years, so we can see the brilliance of this guy again.
so he's appealed it. Um,
Yeah,
we'll see what happens with that. More often than not, Court of Arbitration for Sport, which I think is a bit of a joke of an organisation, to be honest with you, they're going to take whatever it is, do a fraction of it, or maybe just clear him entirely, and maybe we'll see him play. I think final thing, and to conclude for me, is I've never, Juventus, France, Manchester United, Juventus again, I've never had the feeling that I should have had with Paul Pogba that I do have at the moment with somebody like Jude Bellingham. Because all those questions, James, that you said, does he love the game? Blah blah blah. Is he in the right circles? Is he fully focused on his football? Does he love the game? I know the answer to each of those questions when it comes to Jude Bellingham. And I don't know if at any point over Paul Pogba's career I knew the answer to every one of those questions. And for me, the raw talent and the ability is a should have probably at least been in contention for a Ballon d'Or multiple times over his career, right? Maybe could have played for Paris Saint-Germain when they were firing and Messi and Neymar and so on. Maybe he could have been a part of that. Should have been probably a Real Madrid player at some point in his career as well. I think his ability, talent, and his draw should have warranted that. And to see where we're at now is very disappointing. And if the Court of Arbitration for Sport doesn't overturn this or anything, the idea of a 34-year-old Paul Pogba returning to a Juventus midfield, which may have moved past him and moved him, passed him by.
question would even will
That's
teams
sad.
even want to touch him, Jack?
That's sad. Anyway, guys, it's a huge kind of breaking story and a guy we've loved watching for a long, long time. Let us know your thoughts on what happened over the course of Paul Pogba's career and what you think is going to happen going forward. Until next time, me and James, we will see ya.